years and picked up the view books of colleges. But the first thing I want you to understand is cost of attendance. How colleges come up with that cost of attendance, how much you're going to pay the college. If you see the term cost of attendance on the back of a pretty view book, don't get scared off, don't get the sticker shock, because you're not going to pay all of that to the college. They have several different fees, several different things that go into that cost of attendance. First two up there that you see, tuition and mandatory fees, you can't get around that. You're going to pay that. That's the direct expense. You pay that to the college. Second, if your student's going to live on campus, you're going to pay room and board. Freshmen are going to pay a meal plan. They can't get around that. Most of them won't waive that part. Those two are the direct expenses. You're going to pay, if you pay out of pocket, you're going to write a check for those two amounts. The next three are called indirect expenses. You're not going to write a check for the next three, but the college expects you to have those monies readily available for your student to survive that academic year at their college. Transportation, oops, excuse me, I skipped one. Books and supplies. You know, when I was in college, I looked at off-campus bookstores. You can now go online and buy books. You can even, one semester, I found a book in the library. I checked it out. Why pay for a book if I can get it for free? I mean, I sold my books back most semesters, so why pay for a book for $195 when they're only going to give you $5 back anyway? I mean, there's no sense in that, so I just checked it out from the library. So that's some savings. Supplies. They figure your supplies on buying them from their on-campus bookstore. If you go and buy a notebook from an on-campus bookstore, it's going to be $4 to $5. $5, I'm going to say, I'm just going to round up. And that's because it's got their nice logo on the front cover. I would go to Target or Walmart. You can buy that same notebook without the logo for $1. Nice savings. So, I mean, you see, you buy stuff cheap. Trust me, as a college student, you find as much savings as you can. Transportation, they expect your student to get to class, get to their campus. They're not going to come pick them up in a nice yellow bus or any kind of other means of transportation. They expect you as a parent or that student to have the responsibility of getting themselves back and forth to school. That's just part of college. So, but there's monies in there. There's monies in that cost of attendance for that student to be able to get back and forth. They want the parents to know, hey, they're going to need this to get back and forth. So make sure that that's in that cost of attendance. Personal expenses, the first one's clothing. They got to wear clothes to class. They got to have clothes. You know, whether you want them to have the top-notch names or they get them from somewhere else, that's up to you. But they have an average cost in there. And you notice the second one's laundry. They got to be clean. You know, they don't want them to stink and to make the person next to them, you know, be like, woo. They want to sit next to them. So they got to be clean clothes. And then there's other entertainment, medicines, healthcare, and cell phones. Yeah, you know, also there's still some schools that their food services facilities, they close on the weekends. So, you know, Friday night, you know, it's not that they don't expect your student not to eat from 5 o'clock on Friday till Monday morning at 7 a.m. when they open back up for breakfast. They know that the student may go off campus and eat or go to someone's apartment. That's just part of the cost of attendance, that personal expenses. That's built into that equation. That's built into their formula. So you're not going to pay those directly to the college. So don't get sticker shock. You want to look and find out what their tuition and mandatory fees and their room and boards are if your student's going to live on campus. That's what you're going to write that check for. That's what you're going to pay directly to the school. What you're going to hope you find is financial aid to help pay that. Different sources. You have the federal government, in which you can use the FAFSA to help qualify for. When you're looking at financial aid, I'm going to ask you two questions. If out of the goodness of my heart, because your son or daughter is really good at basketball, they're just top-notch basketball, they can dunk. Your daughter can dunk a basketball. I say I'm going to give you $10,000 a year. Doesn't have to pay it back, but because she's going to come to my school and play basketball, what is that? A scholarship. Is that considered financial aid? Yes, thank you. Good answer. Everybody else agrees with that, I know. So, yes, that's the right answer. Now, next scenario, out of the goodness of my heart, I'm saying I'm going to give you $10,000 to go to school, but you got to pay it back to me with interest. What's that? A loan. Is that considered financial aid? Yes. Yes. Everybody else agree? Yes. There we go. Everybody says yes. That is considered financial aid. Anything that defers the cost of attendance is considered financial aid. So know that up front, that it doesn't matter if it's money you have to pay back or anything else. Anything that keeps you from paying the cost of tuition, fees, books, supplies, anything like that is considered financial aid. Now, the federal government, we talked about that. That's a source of financial aid, which could be loans, scholarships, grants, whatever. The state government, and which when we look at the state government, we're going to look at that lovely brochure that I gave you called the Hope Scholarship. One that's mostly forgotten about is the third, which is the colleges and universities. They have institutional aid that they can give you. So please don't forget to check with your colleges because they have monies available that they can give you. So that's a wonderful resource. And last but not least, different community groups. And this sometimes you have to check with your local school counselors, your websites at your schools. And I was even told, I was doing a presentation and the counselor said check with the other schools in the area. Check with other schools' websites to see if they have a scholarship you can apply for that maybe this school's not aware about yet, because that's another resource. So check with the local schools to find out about different community groups. Different types, of course, you've got merit, and once we look at Hope, you realize that's a merit-based scholarship because we're looking at the academics of the student. There's need-based aid. We'll look at Pell Grants. You'll see that they're going to look at the financials of the family to find out if there's financial need to pay for that college. The third one's the dreaded L word, loans, money that you have to pay back. Student loan is money that's borrowed by the student and owed back by the student. It's in the student's name. Parent loans, that's money that's borrowed by the parents, owed back by the parents. Student loans are not credit-based. They do not look at the credit of the student. They do not look at the credit of the parent for a student loan. Now, parent loans are credit-based. They will look at the credit of the parent, and parents can be denied parent loans. Employment opportunities, this is the same federal work-study program that could have been around parents when you were in school. This is that same federal work-study program where students get jobs on campuses, and they get paid, and that money can go towards that cost of attendance. They can use that money, get quarters to go do laundry, or go get food on the weekends, whatever they choose to use that for. Military aids and grants. Some colleges have ROTC programs that if they're in leadership, this is mainly one of the big ones is North Georgia College and State University, that the college gives grants to the student for participating in that leadership of that ROTC. And finally, the savings plan. Georgia has a 529 plan. This is basically a prepaid college plan where you save money up prior to the student going to college. You're earning interest on your investment, and then you're withdrawing money to put towards your child's education, towards that cost of attendance. I've had many parents ask me, they're like, well, can I start one now? My student's a senior. Sure, you can, but you're not going to have as much time now on saving money and earning money on your investment. So this is, you earn more interest, you have more time to, save money if you started earlier. If you have a student that maybe is in middle school, elementary school, or even ninth grade. So I definitely encourage earlier, but definitely if you want to start one now, you definitely can. Of course, the big one in Georgia, the Hope Scholarship Program, it's the nation's largest non-need-based program. This means it doesn't matter, parents, how much money you make, little, lot, it doesn't matter how much. If your students meet the requirements for Hope, they're going to get the money. All of the requirements for Hope are in the brochure, so you don't have to worry about that. The big requirements I'm going to bring up in the acronym of ACRE, A-C-R-E. I mentioned it was a merit-based program, so the A stands for academic. This is the last year of two different requirements for seniors, two different diploma types. If the students are on the college prep diploma, the academic requirement is a 3.0